have gained 20 pounds since the start of quarantine. You're probably like, well, if you eat fruit instead of candy, how'd you gain 20 pounds? Well, friends, we can thank supporting local businesses for that one. Let's get this over with. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is the first of, I don't know how many, as many as it takes, I guess. With that being said, definitely make sure to hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell so that you don't miss any of these videos, because there are going to be quite a few. Anyways, you have seen the title for this video. Let's just get right into it. I have gained 20 pounds since the start of quarantine, which for me was March 17th, 2020. So it's been like 2.5 months now. And yeah, 20 pounds. So I am officially the heaviest I have ever been. And honestly, I just kind of wanted to like talk about that, talk about how I'm feeling, talk about like what I want to do about it. And yeah, and I guess I should probably say first off that like, this is a very traumatic time for a lot of people. I feel very like blessed and a little bit guilty that I haven't had as hard of a time as a lot of people have. Honestly, I hated going to work. I just wanted to be at home creating, doing videos like this. Honestly, I've hated my body for a really, really, really long time, and I've been really, really insecure. So not having to leave my house has not been the worst thing for me. And I feel extremely privileged and blessed that I am able to be comfortable. I haven't taken really any financial hit. In fact, I'm actually a little bit better off. But I acknowledge that's not the case for everybody, so I just wanted to like put that out there. I am like acknowledging my privilege in this situation. And also saying that like weight gain or weight loss in quarantine because of like stress or overeating or whatever it might be is completely normal. You absolutely do not need to feel like you need to lose any weight or gain any weight if you like lost it in an unhealthy way. You don't need to do anything about it. This is an extremely traumatic time. Your weight shouldn't define you. Unfortunately, I've let it define me, and I'm just going to be completely honest. I'm going to share that in just a minute. I've let my weight define me for probably a decade. So yeah, we're gonna get more into that, but I just want to let you know that just because I'm on here talking about this, it has nothing to do with how I feel like you should be handling yourself or anything like that. And honestly, this weight gain, I've been surprisingly like very chill about it. This had happened like a year or so ago, I would have definitely like had a meltdown, fallen into like extreme like depression. Yeah, it wouldn't have been good. And again, I don't think weight gain's a bad thing. I just have problems, and problems that I'm gonna get into. So after that huge rambling message, please don't feel like you need to do anything about it. Just let your body do what it's doing and make the decision yourself if you care or not about how your body's changing, okay? But anyways, okay, let's get into this. A little backstory. For quite a long time, I've actually struggled with like binge and restrict cycles, as well as orthorexic habits. So basically, I use health as an excuse to restrict the types of food that I eat. And then if I eat something that I don't think is healthy enough, which usually happens, like you start Monday, by noon, you've fallen off the wagon. You know what I'm talking about. When that happens, I binge, which seems completely like counterintuitive, right? Or talk to anybody with binge eating disorder. I don't have binge eating disorder, but been told by like my therapist that I do have binge eating habits. Basically, I would binge on the most unhealthy things I could possibly find or order. I was eating all kinds of junk food. If I didn't have junk food at home, I would just go out and get it really quickly because I had all kinds of stores and things like that around me that took me like 5 minutes to get it. I'd order like McDonald's, pizza, you name it, and literally just eat as much as possible until I felt sick. Then I would start again the next day basically, and then repeat the cycle for like years. If you want to know more about my experiences with this, definitely comment down below and let me know. That would really be an entire video, so I'm not gonna bother with it right now. But yeah, definitely comment down below. Let me know if you want to know more about my experiences with disordered eating habits and how I've recovered mostly from them. Back to the story. I graduated high school in 2014 at about 165 pounds. So at this point, I was not happy with my body. I've pretty much never been happy with my body since I learned in like elementary school that women were self-conscious about their bodies. I immediately became self-conscious about my body and was always trying to change it. By January 2017, I had gained over 50 more pounds, which I was my then heaviest at 217. Just so you know, I'm sharing numbers not because I think that they're important, but just to kind of give you like a rough idea, because I know when I watch other people's stories and I hear about their goals and that kind of stuff, and then they say that they're like, when I hear that they're like my weight and then they tell me that they're like 5'1", it's like a whole different thing. You can implement similar things to other people, but like your journey is going to be different because of like your height and your size. And that being said, I'm 5'9", and I was 217 pounds, and I could get away with like 165. Nobody really noticed. I started getting a little bit like squishier, and I never really wore clothes that would like let people know what my body actually looked like, so you can never really see my figure. But now I could not hide it. This whole situation, like this weight gain and all of that, it caused a lot of like depression and anxiety for me, and I started seeing a therapist who helped me quite a bit. After working with her, I managed to actually lose and keep off 15 pounds. That was in like May 2018. I sat at 202 for a few years actually. 202 up until actually from that point, like May 2018 up until like March 2020. Throughout that time, I actually became very consistent with my workouts, and I've noticed that like my body has like changed shape. I've maintained the same weight, but like butt has grown a little bit. My stomach like came in a little bit, and so I've just kind of like recomped, if that makes sense. I just noticed that like exercise had such an incredible impact on my mental health. All of my like working life, I've had jobs that have required me to be on my feet, usually like running around, usually get like pretty sweaty, and that's for like hours at a time. Most recently, I was a server for about a year. I would run around nonstop for like 2 to 3 hours a day. I can like cross my legs here. And I was working out like 30 to 60 minutes a day as well. So that's a lot of activity. So like my constant like binging and all that kind of stuff, it didn't really affect me. I've been able to maintain my weight this entire time because the activity levels were so high. So I could eat like 3,400 calories a day because of my weight and height and activity levels, and nothing really happened to me. As many times as I was like trying to count calories and things like that, I would just binge because I was restricting. But yeah, that explains like why I was able to maintain the weight without trying really. Honey, quarantine changed that. So I was laid off officially on Tuesday, March 17th. And obviously my activity levels dropped. That is one obvious reason why I've gained 20 pounds in the past 2 months. I did not change my eating habits for at least the first month. Honestly, it was the same thing over and over and over again. I've gotten a lot better. I actually went back to a therapist recently, and I've fixed some things. Naturally, I fell out of like the binge cycles, and it was more just became like an overeating situation. So like I'd eat healthy all day, and then nighttime came around and I just would eat from like dinner until bedtime, all kinds of snacks. And yeah, I wouldn't really count that as a binge, but definitely like overeating because of restricting and just thinking about food and stuff like that. So I hadn't weighed myself for the whole first month. But I started to notice that my clothes were getting tighter, and I just felt a little fuller. So I decided one morning to weigh myself just to kind of see if I was crazy. Like, you know how sometimes your mind can play tricks with you and you're like, oh, I'm just like I'm just gaining so much weight and whatever. So I just wanted to weigh myself to see if I was crazy, see if it was true. And oh boy, I was right. Enter the first 10 pounds. So I was a little bit like shocked and in denial. So I took my measurements just to see like, am I just like bloated, retaining water or something from like all the things that I've been eating at night? Is the scale broken because I haven't used it in a while? And nope, up a couple inches around my body. I think about like 4 inches all around my body. After I realized like how hard it was to just want to eat all day long, like I literally just sit at home all day long. I have a junk food stash in the other room. It's all I thought about all day long. So that was like my number one problem. I decided to just give in. I've seen a lot. I've been told this from my therapist. I've read books about it. I've seen other people's experiences where like the way to get rid of like the binge restrict cycles and binge eating habits is to just like let go and like get rid of all restrictions. So it was very tough and like I cried a lot about it, but I decided to just let go of any restriction that I had on myself. And if I felt like I wanted something in the moment, I would just have it. And that was very, very freeing, but also very, very difficult because I've spent the last decade, which was almost half of my life, thinking about losing weight and constantly thinking about restricting food. And just going through these cycles. So to try to just let go all of a sudden of all these things that you've taught yourself or learned or heard or just like lived by is extremely hard and extremely scary because I'm like, I already hate my body. Why would I want to hate it even more? But then I had to realize that it's gonna take so much longer to like accept myself and be happy with myself if I just keep doing these cycles because I hate myself every single time I do it. And I didn't want to do that anymore. So I realized like it's gonna be so much faster, even though it might take a while, it's gonna be so much faster if I actually heal my relationship with food instead of repeating these cycles. So I just went all in, if you will, and decided no food was off limits anymore. Every restriction I had ever created for myself, that's the thing, like I didn't always practice what I thought about. I would just eat the thing that I wanted to eat and then feel guilty about it. So my whole thing was like, let's try not to feel guilty. No junk food, no takeout, no dairy, no bread, no pasta, carbs are bad, fruit is too high in sugar, and just like all that kind of crap that like I would eat, but then every single time I ate it, I felt bad because I'm like, it's not the healthiest thing to eat. And that's the orthorexic habits coming through. This went pretty well for a while. There was so much like weight taken off of my shoulders and I wasn't thinking about food as much anymore because I could just have whatever I wanted whenever I wanted. But enter the next 10 pounds. Now we're up until this point and we're up 20 pounds at 220. 220. As hard as that is for me to like hear and acknowledge, because when this happened like 2 years ago and I was at like 217 at my heaviest and I lost 15 pounds, like I always told myself that I would never let this happen again and I would never ever go past that point. And I don't know, I guess like my therapy's been working because when thinking about this, I'm honestly not that affected, like not as affected as I thought I would be. I honestly thought I'd probably have like a meltdown and just like hate myself and think life was over and all that kind of stuff. But I'm actually like doing okay. And I think it's because I realized that like the next 10 pounds came from, I'm like getting chills thinking about this. Okay. The next 10 pounds came from doing something actually good for myself, and that was to heal my relationship with food and with myself. Naturally, when you stop placing these restrictions on yourself, you kind of stop wanting them. Like, don't get me wrong, not completely at all. Like, to this point, I still like really want junk food. Like, Mostly at nighttime. During the day, I can go like the whole day, I don't really think about it, but nighttime when I'm watching TV, relaxing, I want snacks. It's just, I am who I am.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
I used to actually like have these binge patterns because I would constantly tell myself like, you have to eat everything you want all at once right now because you will no longer have it tomorrow. You will never have this again. And that's a terrible thing to do, at least for someone who struggles with the things that I struggle with. Now, because I have no restrictions on myself, I've actually had like a clearer mind, and I've been able to ask myself questions when a craving hits, and I have actually never thought I would get to this point. So if a craving hits and I want like an Oreo or some candy or ice cream or whatever, pizza, whatever it is, I kind of like stop and I really think about it for a second. And do you ever notice how like sometimes your body, I don't know which one's talking, but like either my mind or my body, one of them is saying like you want pizza, but then the other one's kind of like, oh, I don't think I actually do. And so I've been trying to like listen to that second voice more often and just be like, do I genuinely want this right now? Or is it just like, does it just sound good? And usually it just sounds good. And my body's like, no, don't do that to me. I'm gonna feel like shit. So I make alternatives, or I just move on from that thought. And honestly, I never thought I would get to this point. So yeah, I gained 10 pounds, but I gained something like a lot more valuable. So I think it's just not hitting me as hard. The story's not over yet. Like now at nighttime when I'm thinking about like I want candy or something like that, I actually have been reaching for fruit. Like completely naturally and like authentically. Like not being like, oh no, you should have some fruit because it's better for you. Like no, like I'm actually like, you know what sounds better than that right now? Some good ass watermelon. And I've been having the watermelon and I feel so much better after, and I sleep better, I wake up feeling better, my workouts are better. So now that I have that figured out, you're probably like, well, if you eat fruit instead of candy, how'd you gain 20 pounds? Well, friends, we can thank supporting local businesses for that one. I'm stuck at home right now. Most of us are. My boyfriend works a 9 to 5 in the other room. I'm trying to work like a 9 to 5 on YouTube and trying to just keep myself occupied. I make breakfast, wash dishes. Make lunch, wash dishes. Make snacks, wash dishes. Just by the way, my boyfriend is the only one of us making a stable income, so if things were reversed, he would be doing these things. It's not because I'm the woman or whatever. So I am not a meal prep gal. With all of my issues, I find it extremely important to be eating food that I actually enjoy and not forcing myself to eat reheated, gross stuff that I don't like. So I cook like a lot. And because of that, by the end of the day, the last thing that I want to do is cook dinner. When the end of the day rolls around and I get that notification from Uber Eats, DoorDash, Domino's, you name it, it's game over. Even though all day long I'm eating and craving really filling and nutritious meals, and I've reduced like my nightly junk food intake, I'm still eating foods that are filled with extra calories and fats and who knows what else. Takeout meal is probably like half my daily worth of calories. So I'm eating as much as I was eating before, but when I was exercising like 4 times more in a day. Like I said, a year ago, if this would have happened to me, I probably would have had a complete meltdown. But we're in quarantine. No one has to see me if I don't want them to. I film from here up. You don't know what's going on down here. I can wear sweats and comfortable clothes all day long. Honestly, this is kind of like the best time for this to happen. That being said, even though I seem very cool and collected about this and like I'm handling it very well, I still really want to lose the weight. And I'm actually so motivated to finally just fucking do this and just like not worry about this anymore. I became very depressed when I saw the scale go from 165 to 190 within a year, and it caused a lot of issues for me. I was a person that I did not recognize for like 2 to 3 years, and I've worked on it a lot, and even my boyfriend will say like I'm a completely different person than I was a couple of years ago. And again, I'm gonna be sharing a lot more about this like as the next episodes come out, because I already know this is gonna be so long. I feel like I have done the work on the inside, and I'm finally ready to do the work on the outside. That's why we're here. I gained 20 pounds, and I want you to join me on my journey to get rid of it. Finally. Like, I did all of the mental work. I feel like it's cool if I want to change my exterior, and I don't think that's a bad thing, and I don't think that goes against body positivity or anything like that. I just feel like I haven't recognized myself for a really long time. I'm not living my best and truest self, and I feel like it's just finally time. This weight on my body represents a lot of depression and a big, long struggle where I let food control me. I just really feel like this is like the last step to feeling like myself again. I know this is a long one. If you like this video and want to see me go from flabby to Abby, definitely hit the like button to show your support. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.